Hello everyone and welcome to this lecture. Today we will explore distortionless transmission systems, a special type of signal processing system that ensures the input signal passes through without any change in shape, undergoing only simple adjustments. The output signal is a scaled version of the input signal with amplitude increased or decreased, and is uniformly delayed in time. Imagine that you input an audio signal, and on output it sounds exactly the same, except that its volume has changed and it appears slightly later. The system is essentially linear and time invariant, emphasizing signal fidelity as shown in Formula 1. Now we will analyze the system characteristics from two perspectives. Time domain characteristics. The system's response to an input signal exhibits a simple delay behavior. For example, if the input is an instantaneous pulse such as a click sound, the output will be the same pulse, but delayed and possibly amplified or attenuated. This ensures that all parts of the signal, whether fast or slow, are delayed synchronously, avoiding waveform misalignment as shown in Formula 2. Frequency domain characteristics. The system processes all frequency components, from low frequency to high frequency, in the same manner. Constant amplitude response. The loudness of all frequencies changes by the same ratio, e.g., overall volume increase or decrease. Linear phase response. All frequency components experience the same delay, e.g., high and low frequencies are delayed equally, preventing temporal confusion as shown in Formula 3. In short, a distortionless system is like a faithful messenger. It only adjusts the magnitude and transmission time of the signal, without distorting its content. Next, we discussed the essential requirements for a distortionless transmission system. To achieve truly distortionless transmission, the system must satisfy two strict conditions, both of which are indispensable, as shown in the figure. First, amplitude response condition. The system's amplitude response must remain constant over the entire frequency range. This means that the amplification or attenuation ratio for all frequency components, from low tones to high tones, must be the same. If the amplitude response fluctuates, for example, certain frequencies are boosted while others are attenuated, distortion will occur, e.g., sound becomes muffled or harsh. In practice, this requires the system to have infinite bandwidth, covering all frequencies. But in reality, it can only be approximated. Second, phase response condition. The system's phase response must vary linearly with frequency. This ensures that the delay time for different frequency components is exactly the same. All frequencies are delayed synchronously. If the phase response is nonlinear, for example, high frequencies are delayed less and low frequencies are delayed more, phase distortion occurs. E.g., the leading edge of a waveform becomes blurred, or rhythms become unsynchronized. Imagine that the impact of a drum beat and the resonance of a guitar string no longer align. The result will sound chaotic. Summary: a distortionless system is like a perfect conveyor belt. Constant amplitude ensures the signal strength remains undistorted, while linear phase ensures the timing of the signal remains intact. Violation of either condition will cause distortion. Amplitude distortion alters the balance of the signal. Phase distortion disrupts the time structure of the signal. Now, let us analyze a concrete example. As in example 1 for practical application. This will help us understand how distortionless conditions are applied, and the consequences of violating them. The system's frequency response is given. After calculation, the system's amplitude response is found to be a constant, meeting the distortionless amplitude condition. But the phase response is an arctangent function, which is nonlinear, violating the phase condition. Therefore, the system is determined to be not a distortionless transmission system. Next, we test an actual input signal. The input is a simple combination containing two frequency components, a low-frequency sine wave and a high-frequency sine wave. The system's output shows that the low-frequency component is delayed more, while the high-frequency component is delayed less. Delay times are inconsistent. The output is no longer a faithful copy of the input signal. Waveform distortion occurs, e.g., sine wave peaks become misaligned. Because of distortion, the system's nonlinear phase response causes different frequency components to go their own separate ways, rather than being delayed together. This destroys the original time structure of the signal. For example, the harmonic combination present in the input becomes disordered in the output. For a visual demonstration, see the waveform comparison diagram of input and output signals. In the diagram, the black curve represents the input signal, which is a smooth and regular combination of sine waves, while the red dashed line represents the output signal, which shows waveform shifts and distortion, such as misaligned peaks. This clearly verifies the destructive impact of nonlinear phase. The output waveform is no longer a neat sine wave, but a distorted version. This example highlights the importance of linear phase response. Even if the amplitude response is perfect, nonlinear phase will cause loss of signal integrity. Finally, let us summarize the core points and practical significance of distortionless transmission systems. First, the essence of a distortionless system is the simultaneous satisfaction of two conditions: constant amplitude response and linear phase response. This ensures transparency in signal transmission. What goes in is faithfully reproduced at the output, with only scaling and delay applied.